Hello, this is Kate, the Daily Tarot Girl, and welcome to your weekly tarot card reading. For this week's reading, I am using the Tarot of the Great Outdoors. It's kind of a summery nature wilderness type of deck. It's really pretty. Okay, so before we dive into the reading, I just want to remind you that my new tarot course, it's called Tarot Reading for Rebels. It's only going to be available for, I think, like a couple more weeks until September 21st. So it is $37. There's a whole bunch of videos, worksheets. It's a lot of fun. And if you're interested, I'm going to put the link on where you can purchase my course just below this video. Okay. So let's dive into the cards. So I'm going to start with the first card. Now, normally when I do these readings, I like to think of each card kind of representing like the beginning of the week, the middle of the week, end of the week. This week, I want to mix it up. So I just want to see kind of the general weather or energy vibe, the general vibe of the week with these three cards. So the first card we have is Judgment. All right. So this is kind of an exciting card to get, actually. I'm just going to zoom in a little here. This is a fun card. So Judgment is really all about being reborn and starting a new chapter or entering into a new phase and having this opportunity to reinvent yourself. And you can think that the beginning of each week is an opportunity to do things differently, to reinvent your life, to reinvent yourself. You could even say the beginning of each day or each moment is also an opportunity to do this. But I really get this. It's almost like when I look at this card, I feel a rush because I see all the water. I see all these people in this boat. And they're, going into the water, and there's this big rush of energy with this card. It feels exciting, and it almost feels a little bit overwhelming. So some of you might find this week that you do have this kind of rush. It's like a rush of new energy or a rush of opportunity, and you may feel called to do something different. You might feel called to say yes to something or to say no to something else, but it's this opportunity to start reinventing yourself and reinventing your life. It's this opportunity to step into this new chapter, this new phase. So the question this card has for you as you start your week is, what new, if you could rewrite your story or rewrite your life right now, design your life, what would you do differently? How would you design it? That is the question that the Judgment card poses to us. And then as we move into, we have, Death. Okay. So we have the Death card next. Now this is interesting. I often think of death coming before Judgment, but in this case, it's coming after. And Death is a powerful card, and it is about letting go. And kind of similar to what I said about the Judgment card, with Death, there is this opportunity to shed the old, close the door on something, and step into something new. But with the Death card, the difference between Death and Judgment is about, what new chapter are you stepping into? Whereas the Death card is about what old chapter are you leaving behind? What old story or phase of your life are you stepping out of and letting go of? So lots of big themes this week, and this does actually feel exciting. And I think why we see the Judgment card before Death is because the newness and the stepping into these new arenas and this call to maybe reinvent yourself or do something different or try something new, it might bring up some old stuff. So it's not necessarily this linear thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to close the door on something and let go of it, and then I'm going to step into this new thing. It's not as clear cut like that. So as you start stepping into these new arenas, and as you start saying yes to new opportunities and entering this next phase, some old stuff might come up. It might get kind of stirred up, like sediment on the bottom of a lake. It gets kind of stirred up by all this new action and energy happening. And so as you're making new choices, as you're recreating your life and reinventing yourself and really moving through this new phase, you will also be confronted with old stuff to release and let go of. So it's not this like linear kind of thing. It's kind of all happening at the same time. What I find really interesting about these two cards, there's a lot of water in this card. This is a wet card. This is a juicy card. This is dry. We're in the desert here and there's cracked earth. There's a dryness to this. I just think that's interesting. So there's all this rush of water. And I think the key here is that water in the tarot represents emotion and feeling. And you want to go in the direction that your feeling and your emotion is pulling you. So wherever you feel that emotion, wherever you feel the heat, that is where you want to go. Whereas with death, there's a parchedness, there's a dryness, and the things that just feel dry and crusty and dusty, those maybe are the things to move out of your life. You want to move away from those things. Okay, let's look at the last card. Ooh, Ace of Blades. So Ace of Swords. And it's very exciting to see an ace here because the aces are all about new beginnings, just like Judgment. And even death is also about new beginnings, but it's the focus of death is on kind of what you're letting go of, but it's kind of what happens before that new beginning. So having a card of new beginnings, like Ace of Blades, right after death is really, really interesting. And we see a temperature shift, right? This is hot, dry desert. And here we have kind of cold, icy, snowy landscapes. There's a cooling that happens, which is interesting. Okay, what does it mean for us this week? Again, there's going to be new opportunities to say yes to new things, opportunities to try new things. And the Ace of Blades has this real just do it kind of energy. This is a card of action. It's a card of no longer making excuses. This isn't a card of sitting back and just waiting for things to unfold. This is a card of action. It's about getting out there, doing something, taking a decisive action, making decisive choices, and moving forward in whatever direction you are choosing to go in. So you might feel like you experience a lot of momentum this week, especially in areas where maybe there hasn't been a lot of momentum for a long time. And I'm seeing this, I actually feel this energy was really prevalent for me this week. There's been things I've been putting off and wanting to do for years, and I just haven't done it until this week. I've done like 5 things that have been on my bucket list for like 10 years. I did them all in 1 week. So it's like that energy of like, oh, I'm finally getting the ball rolling on things that have not been moving for a very long time. So that is what the Ace of Blades, that's kind of the energy that the Ace of Blades has. It's that momentum, that movement, but it's also a card of focus and the ability to focus. And I'm just looking at instead of one sword in this deck, we have this Swiss Army knife. And the Swiss Army knife has all these different little types of knives. And it makes me think that there's more than one way to do something. So there's more than one way to go after a goal or to get something done or to achieve something. And it also makes me think that there may be multiple things that you're going to be focusing on throughout the week. And I think that that energy I talked about of momentum, and just doing it and getting things done. I think that there's a great possibility that that could show up in a lot of different ways for you, not just in one way and not just in a general way, but in a lot of different areas of your life. You might have that momentum and that desire to take action and take the initiative. Again, this isn't a week for sitting back and just waiting for things to happen. It's a week of really taking up the initiative. Really taking the initiative, stepping forward, taking action on the things that are important to you. And I think that you're going to have an easier time doing this than you have in the past. So let's look at all of the cards together. First card, there's a lot of movement. There's like no movement in death. It's very still. There's a stillness. But what's so interesting about this card is even though we have the dry earth, we have the bones here, we have the dead tree branch, there's all this life blooming. There's all these flowers coming into bloom. And it really shows that death isn't really about death. It's about transition. So it's about, saying goodbye to something so that the new can blossom and come forward. So it's about change and transition. So I think so many of us are going through changes and transitions right now. You might feel this in a subtle way, in small ways, in little ways, or really, really big ways. But this feels like a big week. It feels like a week of a lot of movement, a lot of transition, a lot of opportunity. But more than anything, it's like an inner shift in yourself. It's like you may feel like you have a new enthusiasm for your life. You might feel like you suddenly have this focus and drive and energy that just wasn't there last week or the month before, and now it is. And it also feels like you get more clarity. Ace of Blades is about clarity more than anything, and getting clear on what's important and where you want to take action. So I feel like some clarity may come up this week as well. So really exciting week. All these cards are about like a new phase, a new beginning in some way or another. So this does feel like a really big, big week. In fact, I'm going to say it feels so big that I feel like this energy will be carried through into the next week and maybe even the whole rest of the month. I don't think that this energy of momentum and newness and focus is going to be limited just to this 7-day period. It feels bigger than that. Okay, so let me know what you thought. Share your own take on these cards in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, subscribe to my channel. It really helps my channel. Okay, thank you so much for watching and have an excellent week.